So this is a Specialized Venge. I ride the same bike, but mine's S-Works. But tell me the difference between a Specialized and S-Works. I know the answer to my audience who don't know.
So, a little bit of history.
No, I learned the majority from you guys from the last shoot. So
This is wow! Hey, this is good. This is
yeah, it's
product placement. Wow, you are good at it, man.
Too small, cannot see actually. Too small.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a bit dirty.
I didn't do research on your bike. I know you sent me the details.
It's fine lah. It's the same as yours lah.
Yeah, I think anyway we are rolling. I'll just cut it later.
Yeah.
So Tim, thank you so much for coming. The last time I was roasted, I don't know if I was roasted on your show, so now it's my revenge time.
This fella here is the owner of the Oompa Loompa YouTube channel, which is 3,000 subs. We are trying to get there.
Caleb, if you're watching this, you'll be next. So, people who don't know you, you are one of the presenters on your YouTube channel, Komrade Bikes. Yeah, over to you, man. If you can just introduce yourself.
So yeah, my name is Timothy. Some of you may know me. Me, Caleb, and Sean. We run Komrade Bikes. It's a shop, and we have our own YouTube channel where we interviewed this guy over at Komrade Bikes. He'll probably link the link below. So yeah, pretty much I'm a full-time engineer and working in ST Aerospace. And because cycling is kind of my passion, want to do a little bit more with it. So that's why we just started out this business just to get deeper into the sport lah.
Wow, didn't know that you're an engineer for ST Aerospace. So do you build aeroplanes?
I don't build aeroplanes per se, but basically my job function is pretty much like a engine doctor. So the engine has a lot of information, a lot of data. I turn it into information where I predict if the engine is going to fail. So I would just ring up the airline and say, hey bro, your plane's gonna crash, you go and do something about it. Wow. So that's pretty much the gist of what I do lah.
Okay, so before we go on to the bike, since you're an engineer, I have questions for you on the bike. Probably, and we didn't rehearse this whole thing, so I didn't check out what's your bike anyway. So Komrade Bikes, you are a bike shop. Where are you guys located again?
We are located at Tampines Street 93.
Okay. And you sell bikes, servicing?
Yeah, so we are an authorized dealer for Shimano, for Wahoo products, for Physics saddles, for Cyclovation bar tapes. And then we do sell other bike frames as well, like Giacotti. So yeah, if you are interested, just check out on our Instagram or just DM us and you get the information that's required.
So why are you still working? Just do full-time lah?
So the thing is that I always have this fear where I mix my passion with work. And when that happens, it gets very stressful. So pretty much, I do not want to run a shop where it's very profit driven, but run a shop more like it's really just to get in more deeper into the whole sport. So that's the reason why I think that's what differs us from other bike shops where yes, profit is important, income is important to cover our overhead, but ultimately we just want to have fun, and we also just want to bring that kind of savings, bring that kind of cycling. What we feel is important in the whole cycling world is not just retail, but also the whole community, and that's what we want to bring to our friends.
That's a very politically correct answer.
Of course, it has to be.
Okay, so how long have you been cycling?
I've actually started cycling when I was very, very young. Probably maybe like, I think secondary school. Secondary school is 16, right? Sec 4, 16. So I'm 30, 14, about 15 years ago. But it's pretty much like once a month cycling, you go to town and then you go those overnight cycling. Pretty much that was the whole realms of cycling, right? I only got in very serious into cycling around 2017, where I did things like, buying clipless shoes, like maybe investing a little bit more in a good road bike. Yeah, so that's pretty much when it got a little bit more regular.
What was your first road bike?
So I actually had a hybrid first with 650B wheels. It was a Trek FX 140 or something like that. It was a hybrid. It didn't last long because the small wheels was very hard to catch up with all the uncles. So in the end, I got myself a second-hand felt F95. It was an entry-level aluminium frame, carbon fork, but it had the Garmin colorway, which was pretty cool, and it was on a Shimano Sora. Still couldn't keep up with the uncles, but at least it looked kind of cool at the side. Yeah.
And what bike after that?
So after that, I actually progressed on, that was when I had a little bit more income, right? So that was when I decided to invest a little bit more on a Canyon Endurace Di2. But that bike didn't last very long because I bought, Canyon sizings are a little bit weird. So I bought an XS without actually properly measuring my inseam, which was a struggle for me to ride the Endurace. So it didn't last long. I think I only rode it for like a year. And then after that, this bike. Yeah, so that's when I saw this bike that was on the carousel, I think in late 2018, maybe 2019. Yeah, then that's when I upgraded, decided to get this, never looked back ever since.
So this is a Specialized Venge. I ride the same bike, but mine's S-Works. But tell me the difference between a Specialized and S-Works. I know the answer to my audience who don't know.
So, a little bit of history, not really a lot of history, but so Venge VS was the edition that came before this, and then Specialized decided to do something in 2018, which was to revamp the whole Venge series. So when that happened, besides the S-Works frames that came out, there was the Venge Pro. So, but this time, one thing that was a little bit different from what Specialized usually do, there usually be multiple other layers, levels, right? So like, back then there was like the Venge Expert, I think, then there was a Venge Pro, and then after that there was, of course, the S-Works range. But ever since in 2018, they decided to put Venge as like the most, like the super bike, right? So the minimum range you could get was the Venge Pro. But here's the thing, all the Venge Pros that came out together, all the other series in 2018, they're actually made of the same carbon layout, same carbon fiber, same everything. You don't believe, you can go and Google it, but down here it shows Fact11r, same as our friend's S-Works Venge. Not a lot of people know it, but yes.
So, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Nah, that's fine. Yeah.
So why would someone buy an S-Works?
It's all about the branding, bro. Why did I buy a Specialized? It's all about the branding. I mean, it's a nice bike, everybody rides it, it's popular, it looks nice. So I think they'll ride the S-Works because, you know, it's just, yeah, it's an S-Works. It looks good on the side of the cafe, right?
So how much do you pay? Was it a brand new frame?
No. So for all the Venge Pros that came out, it came out as a full bike. So there was no option for you to purchase the frame. So Venge Pro, I think there were a total of 3 Venge Pros that came out. The blue, the teal colorway, the purple colorway, and this black colorway. It was either equipped or fitted with Ultegra Di2 11 speed or the SRAM Force E-Tap. Yeah, so it was either these two. I bought this full bike pre-COVID. Barring the wheels, it didn't come with these wheels. It came with the Robel CL50s. So I bought second hand with only like 40 km mileage. It was a demo bike. $7,800 for everything in. So that was, I mean, pre-COVID. I mean, yeah lah. Now I don't know what's the price lah.
So do you think if you were to sell it now, you'll make money?
Of course, confirm. Sell high, buy high lah.
Yeah. So I lost my train of thought. Okay, so for the Specialized compared to the S-Works, just talking purely about the frame, right? How much more will you be paying for the S-Works?
I remember back then, the frame itself, the S-Works frames was already $6,000 odd. That was just the frame. Bearing in mind that the Venge Pro, right, had everything that came with almost similar to the full bike itself. It comes with the carbon integrated stem, it comes with the Aerofly, and pretty much that's, and the seat post, of course, together with the whole S-Works range. I think, yeah, the frame itself was $6,000, and I remember the full bike, the whole S-Works Venge full bike Di2 Dura Ace was going at about 16,000. Was it 14,000 or 16,000? Yeah, it was quite high.
So, am I right to say you're probably paying about 50% more for a S-Works?
Yes. Almost. About 50% more. Yes, correct. Yes.
Assuming all the other parts are the same, it's just that the frame is branded S-Works.
Yep.
I just want to clarify, right? The reason why I bought an S-Works Venge was because I couldn't find the Specialized, and like you've rightly mentioned, it is exactly the same. I don't know why people buy an S-Works.
That's the reason why I think the Venge Pro, it was such a huge success. It was such a great deal because it was the same frame and people bought it, like immediately when it came out. And that's why they don't do Venge Pros anymore because the margin you don't get a lot compared to the S-Works.
What do you think of SL7?
I mean, one bike to rule them all, right?
Will you get one?
Nah.
No?
I'm an aero guy, so I like how it looks. It has to be a bike that when I look at it, I feel good, I feel fast. SL7, don't get me wrong, is a beautiful bike, but the aero lines, man, Venge is still the way to go.
I'm going to assume this is a size 52.
Yes.
And what is your physique?
So I'm a 174 centimeter high. I have an inseam of 91 centimeters, pretty long.
Because your seat post is extremely high.
Yes.
Where is the minimum insert? Has it breached the minimum insert?
No. It's still got a little bit more.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there's still a little bit more because it's still before the limit. Yeah, and so far I'm quite surprised as well because I mean it looks like damn uncomfortable, but really you should see. I mean, people who ride with me know that I've done like shit tons of like rides on this, especially like super long rides, even like close to maybe 10-12 hours on the saddle with no issues at all.
Tell us about the remaining parts on the bike.
Okay, so basically what I did was to upgrade the wheel set. I still have it though, the CL50s, they are a good option to have, but I upgraded them to the MV Foundation 65s just for much deeper profile, and of course it looks good lah. Then I have power meter that is on board, but this was based on last time Endurace. I bought a one-sided Favero Asioma power meter, and yeah, actually that's pretty much what I've upgraded currently. Still waiting for my Groupset to fail, so eventually I can upgrade it to my 12 speed.
So this is an Ultegra Di2?
Yes.
Sorry, back on the wheels, what hubs are these? Are these NV
these are
hubs?
NV hubs. These are own NV alloy hubs. Yeah, but you can customize them however you want at Elite Custom.
Okay, let's talk about the wheels first. These are hookless tires, wheels. Why hookless? And why NV Foundation 65?
So the thing is that first I wanted something of much deeper profile, but I was also looking at a price range that wasn't going to burst my bank. I wanted to get the Revell CLX64s. I thought they were like perfect, plus it matches the bike, same company and whatnot. But it was very difficult to buy them because back then Revell was slowly moving towards the new Rapids, right? And the new Rapids are not tubeless really, so we'll come to that later. So I was looking for a deep wheel set that is about 60 to 65 mm because I'm an aero guy. And the ones that were in the market at that price for the quality was not, it was very hard to compete basically. So NVs, they came out with this much cheaper, or rather much more affordable range, which is the Foundation series. And they were selling this at I think 2122 price range. So why hookless? To me it was a bit annoying. Hookless is a technology that now rim or wheel builders are going towards because you save a lot much more cost, right, in terms of the molding. It was a bit annoying for me because I'm quite a big fan of Continental GP5Ks, and the tubeless tires were not hookless compatible. So unfortunately, I had to change my tire preferences, and I mean, fortunately, NV came out their tires as well. So I went on together with the tires, together with the rims.
How high are your tire pressures? Or how low are your tire pressures?
Low? These are 27 mm. I usually run them about 70 to 75. on days where it's like, for example, if you're doing Lim Chu Kang or you're going to LP1, I will drop usually to about 60s, 60 to 65.
How do you find the wheel sets together with these tires, NV tires?
The NV tires, right? I recall very clearly in the first 200 meters to 200 meters, 200 km to 300 km, it felt very sticky. It's like, wow, it just like riding Velcro on the road, and it was very uncomfortable. But ever since then, it was such a joy to ride with. It was whenever I put down power, it was able to roll. There's a lot of confidence, especially in the turnings, in terms of being technical. So I actually thought that, yeah, it really changed my mind. I mean, besides being a 10 wall, I mean, it looks nice, but other than that, I was really very impressed by this pair of tires. But it's very expensive. It's ridiculous. It's like $100 odd for
I think
one.
anything NV related is expensive.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm a sucker for it, lah. But like, I mean, because it was the only 10 wall hookless hookless compatible tire that was available, and I thought, okay lah, you know, anything for looks, right?
Don't you think that's the problem with hookless? That tire compatibility is a big issue.
Yeah, I was actually worried that the whole technology will become like hookless versus not hookless. But if you see, or rather you see the trend that's going, rims are the ones that are actually pulling the technology in the tire industry. So even Continental, they came out with their own new tires, right? The TLR or something like that. The new tires, they are now hookless compatible also. So at least there is a direction. There isn't a clash like, oh, lightning cable versus USB-C. You know, it's a bit annoying. But yeah, that's something that I'm quite happy. At least more the technology is streamlining into a single technology.
Do you think there is a performance difference between traditional hook tires and hookless?
I don't think so. It's not so much of a performance difference, but I think it's more in terms of like the whole broad sense of manufacturing lah. Having a hookless rim, like I mentioned earlier, is much more easier to manufacture, and technology, it's up to the tire industry or the tire companies to ensure that they remain competitive, they remain at the high performance with this new hookless technology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on. So Groupset, you're going to get a new 12-speed?
For now, I'm very happy with my 11-speed. I'm as much as looks are important. I think I'm a bit practical as well. My group sets are fine. I'm quite comfortable with it. But yeah, when it fails, I'm definitely getting the 12-speed because obviously as a dealer for Shimano, I do have discounts.
Can give giveaway or not?
Huh?
Do giveaway.
I still need to earn money.
Oh my god. Okay, so you know my next question, OSPW. What's the take on that?
Disclaimer, I sell Coggle, water brackets and OSPW. If you need them, you can come to me, I will sell them to you. But because you're for the sake of Oompa Loompa, right? And I know he takes no shit, but I don't believe in OSPWs, man. Never. As in, it's so marginal, bro. Like,
Have you tried it?
I've tried it. I can't tell. Really, I mean, honestly, yes, it looks good. Additional bling. But it's so marginal because, I mean, I'm a data scientist myself, right? The environmental factors that could affect the aerodynamics and the rolling resistance and the amount of like power you put down on the pedals is almost equivalent. You're saving almost like what, 2 watts over like a 40 km power. What's that? Controlled environment, you see. Yeah, to me, it's nah. I'm not an OSPW. I mean, I get why people buy it. I mean, you got the money, you want to spend. I got nothing to say. It looks good. I mean, it's the same reason why sometimes I buy Specialized, right?
Yeah.
But OSPW, nah, not for me.
What is your advice to someone who wants to up their game in their bike, right? So let's say they've got a mid-tier bike. What is the biggest upgrade they can make to gain speed?
You'd be surprised, right? But actually the jersey itself does save a lot of watts. Having a very nicely tight fit, this is not very tight fit as you can see, it's a lot of crease, but having proper set of, in terms of bang for buck, right? jersey and your helmet, right, is the first thing you need to look at. A lot of people wear like those loose clothes or those ties that half zips, right? That doesn't hug you very well. Check my Instagram. You know those Aero jerseys. Those really saves you so much more. And after that, think about your body position on the bike, like how aero can you go and going on the drops. So different. But let's say if you're talking about, once you're going to the equipment, right? Of course, having an aero frame does help. Yeah, having aero wheels also does help. And then, other little things like, a well loop drivetrain or wax like drivetrain. All these are matters also lah.
Are you on wax or lube?
I'm on lube, but I'm going to wax.
Why?
Pretty much just maintenance and performance in the wet. Because I cycle quite a bit, and usually I don't mind cycling out in the rain. And sometimes you get caught in the rain. Wax actually helps prevent like the loop from being washed out. Because I use ceramic or dry loop. Because of Singapore. But when it rains, right, everything washes out, and then you start to hear all the screeching, and don't like it.
How do you maintain? I got these questions quite a lot. People asking me to ask my guest, how do you maintain the bike? What are your routines? And how do you clean the bike?
Is it dirty or not? A bit sensitive.
And this is a matte paint, by the way. So how do you take care of it?
So I've been a bit busy lately, so give chance a little bit. But what I do is to ensure that first, whenever you're back, especially if it rains, first thing you need to take care of is really your drivetrain. Like immediately go and, even if you just buy a very cheap lube, right? If you're very lazy like me that you want to wash the bike but you don't have time, buy a cheap lube, right? Once you're home, just lube the entire thing. Messy, never mind. But at least your drivetrain is protected from the rust.
Can I make sure the drivetrain is clean first before you lube again?
Yes, of course.
Don't add over.
Don't add over, no. Yeah, so this on the premise is that since you already rode in the rain, the bike is dirty, you're going to wash it anyway. So that's when, of course, that lube, right, the dirty lube that you just apply, right, that's just for protection purpose. Ultimately, when you go and wash the bike, wash the lube everywhere, and then properly go and use your whatever expensive lube or whatever lube that you're using to individually drip the chain, or like if you're using wax, then that doesn't really apply. Other than that, very important that you, especially the handlebars where I get quite sweaty palms, so usually just get wet tissue just to clean, and basically the entire parts of the frame. Being carbon, not so bad. You can get away with it a lot, especially matte black bikes. They are the easiest to maintain. Just that even the sandy a little bit also can clean off very quickly. So generally, I'm not too anal in terms of like being my bike like super clean. To me, it's still a tool to use to go and ride. But yeah, that's just very low maintenance kind of on my bike.
Is it important to send your bike to the bike shop to get it fully stripped out and cleaned?
Yes, not because I own a bike shop and you guys should send it to me, but you can send it to me. But I think if you know your way around the bike, it's actually quite fine. You can actually get away with a lot of things, especially if you are taking care of a drivetrain. But over time, what people don't realize are the stuff that are inside the bike that actually deteriorate, and you don't realize them because it's like a person that gradually loses weight, but you don't realize it until you see like the before and after, like, oh shit. So things are, for example, like your headset bearings, your bottom brackets. These are the things that actually do corrode and rust sometimes if you are not properly taken care of. The lube or the grease may be worn off already by then. So it is very important. If you can do it yourself, I think it's perfect because you know your bike very well and then you get to learn stuff yourself. But if you don't have the time or you don't have the resources or you don't have the tools for it, I really, really advise you should go to a bike shop to go and do all these things.
Speaking of dimensions of the bike, did you go for a bike fit?
So back when I started riding, bike fit wasn't such a big deal, right? Everybody was like, yeah, size 52 for that height, done, go, you see. And till this day, I think my body kind of like conformed to the bike, and then I lucked out with this bike where I really didn't have to do any bike fit, just to do like some self-adjustments, but have been perfectly fine. However, for my other bike though, because the geometry is a little bit different, I'm definitely intending to go do a bike fit because you try and minimize the trial and error, and as you're growing older, you're not that flexible or mobile anymore. And that's why I think I would strongly recommend a person to go do a bike fit, especially if you're riding very regularly. Yeah.
What are the dislikes of the bike?
This?
Oh, sorry, what is the weight, by the way? Forgot about the weight.
With panels and accessories, it's weighing, and this pair of wheels is weighing about 8.2 kg. Not the heaviest, sorry, not the lightest, but also not the heaviest lah. Yeah.
What about dislikes? Any dislikes? Don't tell me weight. Everyone always tell me weight.
If I really have to pinpoint a dislike, I hate the way they designed this seat post.
Why?
I'm not too sure. Later, maybe you will like zoom in or something like that. But the thing is that the boat is facing up, and it doesn't have a cover for it. So what happens is that when rain comes or whatever it is, it rusts, and that's why I put a black tape over it. Yeah, just to prevent it from like any more further damage. That's the only design flaw I find about this bike. Other than that, no man, I really love this. Like,
do you believe this is the fastest aero bike, or there are faster ones?
Marginal lah. I mean, there are faster ones lah.
Which are the fastest one in the market right now? You think that?
Honestly, I think your Pinarellos are pretty fast. The Villiers are also pretty fast as well. I mean, they are light as well. Yeah, I mean, honestly, even down to like maybe the low-key bikes, like for example Merida, I think they're also really very fast, especially with all the aero lines. But yeah, pick your poison. They're all pretty much the same in terms of the bracket lah, of the superbike.
Okay. Can I move on?
Yeah.
30 minutes in. Okay, so interesting part.
Slam the stem?
No, IG Q&A.
Okay, go for it, man.
So we have Instagram Q&A. If you guys want to ask your questions, follow me on Instagram and you'll get to submit your questions through my Insta stories. I have to thank you. The last time I was on your interview, you actually preempted me all the questions, so I was very prepared. But on my show, nobody gets the questions. Unless you're a female.
Yeah.
So the first question, from your buddy Caleb. He says he still loves the SL7. What is your comment to that?
I mean, you can love whatever bike you want. Doesn't mean I have to love it.
Maybe one day we'll see you with an SL7. Is it true that the Tarmac SL7 is more aero than the Venge?
No, you can go and look at the charts that even Specialized even churn out. The most aero bike is still the Venge. But, of course, if you're looking at the lightweight with the aero, of course the SL7, according to their marketing team, is the one bike to rule them all.
Just now before we started the Q&A, you asked me about the why not slam. I'm probably not going to ask that because it suits you, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to slam the stem. And anyway, your saddle to drop is drastic.
Yeah.
The saddle height is all the way up. Were there more spaces or this the max? When you bought the frame?
No. It was already cut already.
Oh, as in, so you had no choice?
There was no, as in it was longer actually. I went to cut it a little bit. Yeah.
What's so special about the Specialized Venge?
I think first, what's so special? I mean, it's so clean, yet that has just so much detail to it, especially in terms of how the aero profile is. It's just so neat. It's just clean, and I think this bike was one of the first. I won't say first lah. It was at the forefront of the pinnacle of like the technology that Specialized back at that time could come out, right? Especially when you consider how much improvements they made from the Venge Vias and the Venge Vias disc to this model. I thought that was such a huge jump, and I think that was what's really very special lah, because they're willing to like drop all the technologies that they know back then to recreate something that's just beautiful lah.
And I have to say that this bike, okay, I might sound very biased because I have a Venge as well, but I think the reason why I bought it because I think it would be very timeless. That the design back in how old is this again?
This was in 2018.
Yeah, it's so timeless. Even until today, it still looks pretty good.
It looks modern, man.
Yeah, very modern. Back in the day, 2018, wow, they could think of this kind of design.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Next question is, this is the power saddle. Any plans for the mirror?
Okay, I don't know how to start from this, but maybe a bit of context, right? So far, everybody who has bought a mirror saddle has told me that it was a game changer and they love it. Do you have a mirror saddle?
No.
So I don't believe in these things, right? Like, how much difference can it be? I've attempted a half Everest. I've attempted a full Everest. To me, it was like comfortable. Like, what more? But yet, a bit of me inside wants to try it, because back when I just started cycling, people tell me, "Hey, Timo, don't spend you should buy a pair of $300 ASOS Beat because they are life changing." To me, I was like, that's bullshit lah. Where got difference? I bought it, my life was changed. I was like, shit, you're right. Like, there is so much difference. And also now my non-cycling friends, hey, how much your beep shorts? You guess? Oh, $60. Yeah, I also don't know how to price it also say. And then same thing with the tubeless tires also. Like, to me it was like, wow, tubeless, so expensive, like compared to a normal tire, right? And then I was like, sure not. Until the day I decided to just try. Game changer, life changing. I was like, okay. So I reserve a little bit of curiosity with the mirror saddle, but at that price, very difficult.
It's the same thing back to your beeps, right? That you just explained.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, oh, should I pay like... And I know these idiots, they are like, because of the demand, right? It's so expensive. It's like $700 for a mirror saddle, and like...
But life-changing what?
I know, but I don't know. I'm still on the fence on it. Like, if I have $700 right now, I would maybe use it for like other things, like other than the bike, like maybe getting maybe a newer bike computer, or maybe getting another helmet, or like save money for like another 3-4 more jerseys which I won't wear anymore. But yeah,
that's why I'm like you. I'm still running clinchers. I don't want to touch tubeless. I don't want to come to the situation where like, wow, life changing. Then I'm stuck with tubeless, right? Same with the power mirror. It's the price.
It's the price, man. Yeah, I mean, I've heard nothing but good things. Don't get me wrong, but it's just the price, like, am I willing to like for that to comfort or whatever it is to try it out? Yeah, maybe I will one day.
Where are the aero bottles and cages? Being an aero bike, you don't have them.
Good question. I have no answer for that. I mean, the bottle cage is meant for you to put your bottles lah. I think it's really aero enough. But if you feel that I should go even more aero, I mean, put in the comments lah, basically how more I can go aero lah.
Those elite bottle cages, I've filmed a few guys with that elite bottle cages, but I think the amount of water that you can store is very little.
Yeah, and one thing I quite like about these bottle cages is that when you put the bottle in, it gives you that feeling of the kiap feeling, you know?
What bottle cages are these?
These are just elite ones also, yeah. And it just does its job, right? And it just keeps the bottle like snug. And I've never once, I've gone through like don't know how much shit, right? It popped out before. So marginal lah. I mean, you have aero bottle cages, but yeah, I mean, if you want to like sponsor them, I'll give you my address lah.
What is your fastest sprinting speed on flat roads? This user always asks this question. I recognize.
I'm not a sprinter, by the way. So I did a profile test. I'm a chaser. So what? Is it a chaser? Is it called pursuiter? I'm a pursuiter. So basically, what I do is, if let's say there was a breakaway and I'm in the second pack, I'm very good at leading that pack to chase and pursuit. I'm not a sprinter. So if you ask me, my fastest speed maybe like 50 km/h. It's not fast. I'm not a sprinter.
This is a roast. How come your bike is not as handsome as you?
Hey, if you say that, I'm actually, it's a compliment, you know.
It is.
I'm actually
compliment to you, but not the bike.
Yeah, but the bike is so beautiful already, and yet you think that I'm better looking than the bike.
That's a good comeback.
Well, I honestly am very touched because, hey, this bike is one of the most in-demand bikes, you know, and you are saying that I'm more in demand for. Later you can DM me. I'll give you a discount if you're buying a 12 speed.
Okay, this is my personal question. Do you find there were any issues with the frame?
Yes, I actually had a problem once, which got me into very, very deep. I will restart. You think will affect? Yeah. Restart.
Let it pass. Because I have issues with the frame.
The bottom bracket is
it creaks. On my one, it creaked.
Yeah.
So what were the issues?
So
It's clear now.
the thing is that one problem that I actually faced was the bottom bracket, and the problem is that there are so many bottom bracket. What's that word for it?
Standards?
Standards, exactly. Standards everywhere, and for Specialized they have a special OSBB, which is basically their specialized.
This one BB30?
So it's a BB30. It's a OSBB, so it has a
Oversized. Is
so it requires a adapter from Praxis Works, or I mean, if you want, you can buy directly from like Ceramic Speed. They do specifically built for Specialized. So that was the little bit of a problem I had, which generally press fit frames tend to struggle, which is maybe the mating is not that perfect, and that's when like dirt or grime go in, and then it starts to creak.
You had creaking issues on the bike?
I actually initially had, but I realized that I went to actually strip everything, clean it once through, did a full servicing, and then that creaking just disappeared. Generally, Praxis Works, even though you can say it's budget, but I think they really make quite good quality products.
So these are Praxis
yeah,
Works.
Praxis Works.
I had issues because mine was creaking, and then I had to buy people who had Venge, they told me to get the one-piece BB Infinite, which I bought, which was really expensive, but no regrets because it's really smooth.
That was the other consideration I had, which was a one-piece, because this is a two-piece bottom bracket, right? But yeah, I mean, if you are still experiencing that kind of issues, of course, lesser moving parts, the better lor.
Do you find that you have an aero bike, you don't do climbs, or do you still climb on this bike?
Yeah, I mean, because it's the lightest bike that I have, and I don't really shy away from climbs, I think it's fine.
Unless you have another bike? Do you have another bike for climbs?
I have another bike at home, but it's a titanium bike. That's a different kind of profile, right? It's more like a touring bike, something that you just enjoy. But I still do climb with this bike. I think, honestly, at 8 kg bike is considered very, very light already, and you compare the whole spectrum of like all your aluminiums and all your other like carbon bikes also. So I still climb with this. I think if you don't believe, you can go and check out our YouTube channel. You can check out my Instagram as well. I mean, I did like Everesting attempts on this also.
Yeah.
So people are like, wow, harsh, wow, heavy, wow. Nah, it's not really that bad lah.
Yeah. That's the end of the IG questions. Anything that I missed that you would like to chip in?
Actually, no lah, not really lah. I mean, it's a pretty popular bike. A lot of the information you can find it outside, but yeah, it's just something that I really like. Look at the bike, you feel like want to ride it. That's the most important thing.
Okay. 37 minutes in. Thank you so much for coming onto the show. Thanks for inviting me to your show. I wish you the success on your YouTube channel. I'll start commenting on all your videos.
I would like to wish him, but he's really very successful.
No.
So
anyway, this is the end. Thank you so much, guys. If you stuck all the way, if you want to feature your bike and get interviewed, just DM me on Instagram. And that is the end. Tim, thanks so much for coming. And
thank you.
Yeah.